What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Your Cousins Are Critics, and this is episode 18.
That is way too ironic.
Oh my god. I think we said that in the last episode, too.
Oh yeah, probably. We probably did. But now it's really...
You did. I actually watched back, and you said something like that, which is ironic.
Yeah, now I really know it is.
Jesus. I'm actually really curious about your opinions on this movie because we didn't even talk about this. We did this a day after. We're doing this a day after we watched it, but anyway. So yeah. And today we are talking about the 1994 Luc Besson film Leon the Professional, starring Jean Reno, Natalie Portman, Gary Oldman, and Danny Aiello.
My boy Dan.
Yeah.
My boy Dan.
Sal from Do the Right Thing. And whoever he played in. Louis. In Jacob's Ladder.
Jacob's Ladder.
One of his favorite movies.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah. Alright, so this has been a movie I've been wanting to show Cade for a long time, ever since I first saw it. In fact, ironically enough, this is actually only the second time I've seen it.
Really?
At least all the way through, yes. Yeah, since I reviewed it on my channel like a couple years ago, which I think right now that's my most viewed video. Is my review for this movie.
Really?
Yeah.
Weird.
I know.
I guess it is a pretty controversial movie, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't even know it. Like, I've heard about this movie since I was born.
Oh, did you?
Yo, yeah.
Since you were
Are you kidding
born.
me? And so, like, I
actually didn't whenever I was a kid. I only knew about it until I think whenever I started getting into film.
I remember our grandmother had a puzzle piece set.
Oh, the
and
movies. And that did it have like that or
it had
something?
It had
with the glasses.
It had an image of him and with the glasses and the beanie or whatever hat he's wearing.
Cool.
But yeah, so I remember I put together this movie puzzle like 5,000 times.
There was a TV show one too.
I did that one too a lot. Yeah. Those are really cool. I really liked them.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I've known about this movie forever, but I kind of knew what some of the themes were. Obviously, there's like Natalie Portman
as a 12-year-old.
Well,
she was 12 when filming this.
As a 12-year-old, and like all the images of her, she's in like these really cool clothes that like young adults would wear, or just like 20-somethings would wear. So I kind of figured there was some sort of weird relationship between the main two characters, but I had no idea.
That's actually how I first heard about the movie. Now I remember, because I think I watched a thing on VH1. I remember it was like I Love the 90s or something like that, and I think they were talking about this movie, and that's how I found out, because I heard that was actually Natalie Portman's first movie too.
That's crazy.
This was her first movie, and I like saw her like really young. I'm like, oh my god, because I'd never seen her that young before, you know.
Yeah.
Then I known her from Star Wars,
baby.
But pretty much.
Yep.
But yeah, but I saw her that young. I'm like, oh, jeez, and I just heard and I've been hearing about that movie ever since. I'm like, yeah, I need to check it out then. So yeah, this is beforehand this was actually one of my favorite movies too. This was in my top. This actually made it in my top 100 favorite films too, somewhere in there. Maybe it would still be on there, but a tiny bit lower, I would say. But yeah, after rewatching, I still really like this movie a lot. But we'll get into that, later. So I guess go ahead and jump into the synopsis.
Sure, yeah. So it takes place in New York City, and it's kind of like just the dirty side of New York City, man. And our main character is Leon, and he's a professional. He's a hitman. And
cleaner.
Yeah, as they call it. And he's very good at his job, like insanely good at his job. And Danny Aiello, who plays what's the character's name? Oh man,
his name. Let me look it up real quick.
Is his boss. I do not remember his name, but we'll get to it here in a second. And
Oh wait,
what is it?
okay. I didn't even have to look. I remember it now. It's Tony.
Tony.
Yeah.
Very Italian. I like it.
Oh yeah, he played Sal, who was also Italian, and Do the Right Thing.
And Louis.
Right.
And Louis.
I mean, he must.
I think
be
he just
Italian.
plays Italian.
He must be Italian.
He's himself.
Of course.
In
He
every
has
movie.
to be. I mean, listen to his voice.
Yeah, he's wonderful. And Leon lives in this apartment complex, and Natalie Portman's character Matilda also lives in this apartment complex. Now, Matilda comes from a weird family. They seem to have a decent amount of money, but it comes from her father basically dealing drugs. And her father's kind of abusive and just not the best. And apparently he's having some troubles with the dealers who hand him the drugs, and then he sells it to people on the street or whatever. They're saying that he has cut 10% of the product that they have. So they had 100% and now they only have 90%. Where'd the other percent go? And so Gary Oldman, what's his character's name? I forget his name. I don't remember anybody's name in this movie.
Norman Stansfield.
Norman Stansfield.
I think they called him Stan.
Oh yeah, they did call him Stan. And
Norman Stansfield has a Wikipedia page for some reason.
I mean, it's pretty crazy.
But Leon and Matilda doesn't.
Well,
that's so weird.
Someone's a big Gary Oldman fan then.
Yeah.
But he's the head honcho in this drug ring, and he says, if you don't find that 10% or whoever stole the 10% by tomorrow at noon, we're coming back. And Matilda and Leon have had a few interactions in the apartment complex. She sees him all the time buying milk, because that's all that this man drinks is milk. All that he drinks is milk. And so she kind of takes a liking to him and says, hey, I'm going to go to the grocery store. You want some milk? And he says, okay, or whatever he says. And so while Stan and co., the big drug runners, come back to Matilda's dad's place, Matilda's out. She's getting groceries. Now, Stan and co. massacre Matilda's entire family. Okay? And Leon is kind of watching this whole thing from his... or can hear the whole thing and is watching it from his room. And they kill her sister, her mom, her stepmom, her dad, and her brother. And so she's there walking back from the grocery store, notices that all this stuff is happening, goes to Leon's room instead of hers. And after that, it's basically her and Leon for the rest of the movie. And she learns about his profession, wants to become a cleaner herself, wants to become a hitman herself. And Leon starts to train her in the ways, of course with like a paintball gun, not a real gun, but he starts training her. What?
Later.
Oh, okay.
I'll tell you later.
Oh, okay. And so she wants vengeance for her, basically her brother's death. And Leon's like, oh, that's too big of a job. We gotta stay low. But as they stay together, their relationship grows closer and closer. Now, the weird part is that Leon's like over 40, and this girl's 12 years old, and she falls in love with him, and he falls in love with her, but maybe you could say perhaps in a different way, or maybe it's kind of up in the air what he feels about her, honestly.
Yeah, I actually didn't even realize it until we were watching. I'm like,
Yeah, it's kind of up in the like
we'll
it.
see.
I think
We'll talk about it later, but
yeah, we can clarify all that stuff later. But anyway, she falls deeply in love with him, and he's always like, no, like no, you know, go no, Matilda, no. That's what he says, and she, through her kind of childishness, gets them kicked out of like apartment and hotel just by acting a fool, like shooting a gun out a window, telling the hotel manager that Leon is not her dad, he's her lover and shit like that. So she gets them in all kinds of trouble, but they still care about each other and all this stuff. Now, he's taking her to real jobs after a certain point, and she doesn't kill anybody while he's working. He does the killing, but she is basically his accomplice in his hits. And one day, he says, "This job is too big. I got to do it by myself. You stay here." She can't take that, and she has since found Stan and found out that this drug runner is actually a cop. And I couldn't tell if his, I think the drug ring, the cops, and the mob seem to all kind of be interconnected.
Oh yeah,
in a way, like I don't know if,
because they knew Tony,
right?
Yeah.
And I don't know if it was a police it seemed like it was a police operation with yeah, it definitely was, now that I think about it. So it was a police operation with the drugs, and the police were talking to Stan after they massacred a whole family, like, what happened, man? Like, this isn't supposed to be how it went. And he just kind of shrugs it off and says, well, the father grabbed a gun, so we, shots were fired and all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But back to the point. Matilda finds Stan, okay, at the police station, and she has many guns and is going to try and kill him. Now, Stan is unbelievably smart and recognizes that this girl, he remembers her face from photographs in the apartment, and he stops her from killing him. And one of Stan's buddies, one of the people who killed the family with him, says, "Hey, we lost one of our boys."
I got something to say about that actor, but we'll get to that later.
Got you.
I just found out, but we'll get to that later.
Another accomplice in the murder of that family was hence murdered in a drug deal with, it seemed like a Chinese mafia, and Leon killed all of them and the dude who helped kill Matilda's family. So then Matilda realizes, like, oh, Leon's going after these guys just as I was. And but she's basically in jail. They're confiscating her guns and all this stuff and figuring it out. But then Leon busts in, shoots the 2 cops, or 4 cops, or how many he did, and then takes Matilda back to their apartment, I guess. And this is where things get bad. All the police, the SWAT team, all this stuff, they storm this apartment building. They look like members of the IRA. They don't look like like actual SWAT team stuff, which is really fun. I love it. Yeah, with the ski mask. And they send in so many guys trying to kill Leon. I remember how they got there. Sorry, I forgot this part. Things were not back to normal, but things were going okay with Leon and Matilda, and she left to go get some more milk and groceries and shit. And the police and the SWAT team found her, and that's how they got led back to his apartment. And she gave the police, the wrong code to get through to Leon through the door. Like, she gave him the wrong knock pattern. And so that's how he knew to shoot them all. And that's what he did. He shot like 1 million of them. And they have like the whole army of New York in there trying to kill this one guy. And eventually he gets Matilda back from being held by the police, and he cuts a hole in the wall with an axe, and she climbs down like a few stories of this apartment complex, and meanwhile the police like shoot, I would say, like a rocket grenade or something in the apartment.
Oh, that part's great.
And then so Leon's kind of injured, okay, but he gets a hold of either, I assume, like the corpse of somebody he killed, one of the police officers, puts on their clothes, puts on their gas mask, and so the police think that he's one of them. And so
as they don't know what he looks like either,
they know
so
he's
once he takes his mask off,
they know he's Italian. That's as much as Italian looking. That's as much as they know. And so they help him out, and they have him take off his mask for a second, and Stan sees him and recognize he's never seen him before, but he knows it's him. And so he tells everybody, he says, "Everybody leave, let's get out of this building." And so everyone escapes or leaves the building. Matilda is on the ground floor, gets out of the apartment complex and starts walking to Tony's, because that's where her and Leon agreed to meet after this whole thing was at Tony's. And Leon's limping and bleeding because he got shot, and he's the only one in the building, and he's about to get out, and right as he tries to leave, Gary Oldman's mouse face is right behind him and shoots him. And Leon falls to the ground and stares up at old Stan and puts something in his hand. And I believe he said, "This is for Matilda." And it turns out it was a fucking grenade pin.
Yeah.
Blows them both up. Yeah, the ring trick blows them both up.
We didn't talk about, but that was something that happened before.
Blows them both up. And then, Matilda's back at Tony's, and Tony's like, "Look, Leon set some money aside for you, if something was to happen, and I think something happened."
Your Italian accent just sounds like Stallone.
Yeah, it does. And then, so he gives her $100, which I'm still pissed off about, because I'm like, Leon killed so many people for you. You owe her way more than $100. But he kicks her out and he says, "Go back to school," or whatever.
Yeah, and he gets really aggressive and like just yells at her, and I'm like, Jesus. Dude.
Yeah.
Leon's dead. There's nothing we can do about it.
Yeah. And she goes back to school, gets back in it, and I want to go back and mention a few things that I forgot. Leon carried a plant around this whole movie.
Yep.
And like took crazy care of it. And I believe it represented his first love, like the one that got murdered, which we'll go into that later.
Yeah, we didn't even
but his first love was murdered like 20 years ago, and he's had this plant and is taking good care of it. And he takes it wherever he goes. And that includes in the final scene where they're in the apartment. He throws the plant down first and then throws Matilda down second. And now Matilda has the plant. And whenever she goes to her school, she actually plants it in the ground because she told him earlier in the movie, to give that plant roots and have it planted in the ground. And I will say this also as like a very important part of the movie. The whole way through, since like Matilda started falling in love with Leon, she would be explicit sometimes and say that, and other times she would just suggest it, and he would be pretty uncomfortable with it. But then in their last moment together, when he's throwing her down basically the shaft down to the bottom floor, he admits that he loves her in some kind of way. At the very least. And so they have their closure with that, and then he blows himself up and blows Stan up, and Matilda plants the or gives that plant roots, and she calls the plant Leon at the end.
Yeah,
and so that's
buried it at the school that she it was her school before, but she left, but then at the end she came back.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So her life has changed like a motherfucker. I'll say that.
I think there was one thing you forgot to say, but
there's
or at least
millions of things I forgot to say.
But one thing that's kind of important, I think we should mention. At least if he did say it, I didn't hear it because I was on my phone for some.
You were ignoring me with what you were doing.
Nah.
What was it?
Well, so she came from an abusive family, and her dad and mom and sister, her dad and sister were the ones that beat her up all the time, but she did have a little brother who was 4 years old, and he was the only one that she cared about, which that was the reason why she wanted Stan and all the others to die, is because they killed her brother.
Right, yeah, I mentioned that in passing.
Did you?
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't hear it.
Yeah, I didn't put too much emphasis on it, but yeah.
But, yeah. And, also, I looked up something that I think is pretty crazy, but do you remember, the one dude, Blood, the dreadlock guy?
Blood is a white dude with a drug rug hoodie, you know what I'm talking about, and dreadlocks, and is obviously he's a pretty funny character.
He was a reggae singer in the 90s. This is an album. Willie One Blood is his name.
What?
Yeah.
That's a bit too real.
I just found that out. And what's weird is at least on the Wikipedia page, like that's his professional name is Willie One Blood. But they called him Blood in the movie, but at least he's credited as First Stansfield Man for some reason. I don't know why.
I guess I forgot. Forgot his fucking name.
Yeah, I don't know if that's Wikipedia or if it was actually in the credits. I don't know, but it might have been in the credits. But yeah, he's actually a reggae singer, and I should mention. I actually did hear one of his songs because one of his songs ended up on the Dumb and Dumber soundtrack. Like his biggest hits. Yeah.
Weird.
Was on the Dumb and Dumber soundtrack.
This guy's weird. Strange.
Yeah, what was it called? Winnie Winnie, and then in parentheses, What Really Drives Me Crazy is the name of it. It's like this weird reggae song. But, yeah.
I don't even know what to make of that. That's very... Because in the movie...
He definitely did look like a musician, but he looked like he would be like in Soul Asylum or something.
Well, it's crazy to me that, he's real. Okay, he makes music and he looks like that all the time. Because in the movie, he seemed like such a funny character. It's this stoner cop. That's really funny. It felt like just like a kind of a caricature of a caricature. But this dude's real.
Yeah.
So that makes it even weirder. Yeah, wow.
Wikipedia doesn't say much about him. I guess he's still alive, but it doesn't say how old he is or anything, so I don't know.
Strange.
I looked on Google. I didn't even find a recent picture.
That's what I would be. Yeah.
It was just him in the 90s.
Maybe he died during COVID. No, he died during 9/11. That's why he left us in the 90s.
Unless maybe that might be a recent-ish picture.
Oh, it looks like it could be. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
But
bro, what?
A lot of it's from the movie too.
That's a good look. It almost looks like it's a wig, but it's not. It's real.
Oh, okay. There's him right there. It looks kind of recent.
Wow, he looks normal. Willie One Blood.
Yeah.
Shout out Willie One Blood. Man.
And a name like that too. It sounds like he would be black. But
he's very much trying to be, but
right.
At least back then. But yeah.
Yeah, that's funny.
Wow.
But I never knew that until now. I was looking on Wikipedia and I saw that. I'm like, I saw the name Willie One Blood. I thought Blood. I was like,
yeah,
what? Because that's what they called him in the movie.
Strange.
Yeah, and that character too. He seemed like he wasn't bad or anything. He just and like maybe even the others too. I mean, the others just seemed like they were all just following, his orders. But him especially, like he looked like he was kind of scared of him too in some scenes.
I gotta say, I guess this is a good a place to start as any. That I thought this movie was going to be like more. I thought this was going to be more like the movie Seven in like atmosphere. Like I thought it was going to be a dark. Like I thought it was going to look like Seven.
Right.
I knew it was obviously not about Kevin Spacey, but this movie's
almost. I'm sorry.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
This movie's the most French. I've said this like 500 times by now. It's the most French.
Did you say it on here yet?
No, no, just with us. It's the most French ass movie I've ever seen.
It's directed by Luc Besson, who's French, and Jean Reno, who plays Leon, is French. Well, even though he's playing an Italian, but still.
Mr. Reno wears kind of like this fuzzy kind of trench coatish thing. He's got Bushwick hipster glasses, kind of like mine, but sunglasses. He's got the Bushwick tight cap, tight like beanie that doesn't go over the ears. It's just on top of his head. And he walks with his arms wide out and his legs wide out like this really fast. It is the most French ass, like, it's insane. And this whole movie feels like so exaggerated. Like, do you know what I mean? Yeah. Like everything in this movie feels so exaggerated. Like Gary Oldman being the villain and acting the way he does is insane. Like he talks about fucking classical music all the time. It's like, dude, this is not what I thought it was going to be.
Gary Oldman, man, he was
something else.
Fantastic. Yeah. And like, I was actually looking at the Norman Stanfield's, his profile or his page on Wikipedia, and they said that a lot, like people were comparing him to like Jack Torrance, but I see more Frank Booth from Blue Velvet.
Yeah. That's a bad comparison.
Yeah.
But like this whole movie seems like a French take on like American mob hitman movie. That's the way it feels to me, because and not to mention, we're gonna get into this, but the weird interplay between a 12-year-old girl and like a middle-aged hitman, forced to live together and forced to, their fate basically caused them to love each other, is the most French, weird, like, idea for a movie that I've ever fucking heard. It's like Roman Polanski is like just sitting there, like just observing this movie, like with his heart over his hands. Like he's like, this is the most beautiful thing ever. Like,
yeah.
And where this gets weird, I think, and we might as well get into this too if we want to, is like, I think the camera and the music is what makes this movie weird to me.
The camera?
Yeah, in the relationship between Leon and Matilda. Because I think the idea, I guess a lot of people are uncomfortable with the idea in this movie, or like what's happening is like this 12-year-old falls in love with this man, and this man does fall in love with her, and it seems like more than in like a fatherly way. Like this is not like The Last of Us or anything like that. Like he's
wait, what do you mean it's not? Because that's what The Last of Us is. It is like, a fatherly thing in that one.
Yeah, but what's the guy's name?
Joel.
Joel does not want to fuck Ellie.
Yeah, exactly.
Leon, I think, does.
I don't know.
He does. I think he might be conflicted by it, but I think he lived his whole life mourning the death of his first love.
Yeah, we didn't even talk about that. But...
I mean, I mentioned it a little bit, but we haven't got in it yet. But he spent his whole life mourning his first love, and so this is like basically the first female human being that he spent a good amount of time with.
Yeah.
So I think he definitely was falling in love with her in a way that's in a way that's not kosher, in a way that's not good.
Yeah,
I'd say.
Okay, so I caught some of that this time around. The first time I saw it, I didn't. I thought some of it was just the uncomfortable stuff. I just saw from Matilda, just the way she was, flirting with her. She was the one that was making me feel uncomfortable, not him. And she still does too. She's mostly the one that does.
I think I'm more because like I don't. The deal with her is like she could fall like. I wouldn't. If I was her, I'd probably fall in love with Leon too.
Yeah,
because he
I get
saved
it.
your life and stuff.
No,
like that.
I get it. It's just still kind of weird and just
what Leon what I think is wrong with Leon is like he does not. He says things like, "No, don't kiss me" or whatever. But I think the easier way of shutting that down is saying, "You're a child. I'm a grown man. That's impossible."
Yeah, he never said that.
He never said that.
He said the reason why they can't is because of because you have his first love.
Yes, because he's still mourning the loss of his first love. That's the reason why. Because she's talking about having sex with him, and he says, "I am unable to," or I'm sorry, but I can't.
That's a really good impression, by the way. That sounds just like him.
I can't do it. And then he goes into this spiel about where he was. I'll go ahead and explain the situation. He was with this woman, likely of his age, because he was like 19.
Yeah,
and she came from an upper class family, and he likely came from a lower class criminal family. He definitely said that his family was not respectable, at least in comparison to his partner's family. So her father hated Leon, and as a matter of fact, killed his own daughter because she was seeing Leon. Okay, so and her father, who murdered her, he was only in jail for a few days because he's like, "Oh, it was an accident. I was trying to shoot something else and I shot her." And he's obviously a rich guy, so he can get away with that. And so Leon decides he's going to kill him. He kills this rich man, and that's why he leaves Italy and ends up in the United States. And his family apparently already knew Tony. Probably worked for him in some capacity. And then so he starts working for Tony immediately at the age of 19 and starts fucking being hitman since he's 19.
Yeah, and I'm assuming that was the first time he killed anybody too, was her dad.
Yes, yeah.
Because in the earlier in the movie, Matilda asked him like, "How old how old were you when you started?" And he said 19. And then later when he told that story, he said that he was 19 when that happened. Uh-huh. So yeah.
Yeah.
But back to the whole relationship thing. Mm-hmm. Like, yeah, when I first saw the movie, I just saw it as a father-daughter thing. And whenever he says "I love you," I just took it as, just he loved her as a daughter, like a daughter. Mm-hmm. And that's probably true also.
That's why it's weird is like he took care of her like the child that she is, but the problem is that some men see all women like that.
Yeah.
And so some men see all women as children and will treat them like that, so it doesn't deter them from, in their eyes, falling in love with a child, basically. Yeah. And so I feel like he's got both at the same time. Like he loves her as a human being, like just as an equal, but then also he loves her in a more gross, perverted way.
Yeah.
In a gross, perverted way.
I did see some of that this time around a little, or at least I kind of caught what could have been that, but like, I just don't want to believe that. I just wanted to want to believe that he.
That's a
just has a daughter.
Well, he's a murderer, so he's not a good guy.
Yeah,
like he's like, and that's what I mean. This is the most French movie that this is to happen. Like it's just like so crazy. Like somehow this story about a grown man and a little girl. It just feels very French to me. I was like, this is insane. Like it was like, and learning about the director's like apparent rape accusation made me uncomfortable. In that like, I feel like there might be a world where you can make this movie and it's like a statement more about like maybe like French stereotypes, maybe, because that's what this movie felt like, to be honest, is that it was talking like a lot about like French stereotypes, but now that
it kind of makes you feel more uncomfortable that the director's that way.
It's I was trying to think. Go ahead.
Also, a little similar to when we watched Election, because there was like a whole kind of pedophilia thing in that too, and the director Alexander Payne also had an affair with it was actually a teenage Rose McGowan, like in the 80s, and that kind of made you feel weird just knowing about that.
Well, yeah, and it makes me think about Jeepers Creepers is one of my it's listen, as far as like I think it's early 2000s horror movies.
Yeah, it's
really great.
Is it?
And it makes me sad because the director of that directed a movie in the 90s. It was basically, I forgot, it was like Clown something. And it was a clown movie. And the protagonist is a little boy. Okay. Now, he sexually assaulted this little boy on that set. Okay. And so you make this movie about a little boy being tortured by a clown, basically, and you molest him on set. That's extremely strange. And then so, in comparison to Election and this movie, where it's...
God, that guy looks
creepy.
No,
that's him in prison. That's his prison photo.
Oh, man.
Yeah, but he was in prison for like a few years and then got out, came back, and made Jeepers Creepers. And...
Clown House.
Clown
House.
Oh,
it's 1989.
Yeah, Clown House is the fucking movie. And, so it makes me... Because I was thinking about this the other day, or I was thinking about this yesterday, man, where I was like, okay, what if I was, like, making this movie? I tried to think about, okay, if I'm the director of this movie where this little kid falls in love with this grown man, and this grown man falls in love with her back. If I directed this movie, it would be nowhere near the same movie. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I was just like, that relationship, I don't know if I could really...
He was also caught with child pornography, too. That director of Jeepers Creepers.
Yeah, he sucks. But I was thinking, man, like, about people who can make movies like that have weird pedophilia angles, and then turns out 5 years later that they were a pedophile themselves. To me, I see a pattern in that.
Yeah.
And you know, I'm pretty open-ended with art, and I think it can say a lot of things about a lot of different aspects of humanity, especially sides that we condemn.
Yeah.
As a society, we all agree and condemn, except for the people committing the crimes, right? I just don't know. I don't think I could make this movie. You know, or it would be explicit that, okay, sure, this little girl falls in love with him, but he either rejects it outright, or the way that it's portrayed in cinematic language is different. Because this is what I was going to tell you earlier, like about the camera and the music, is that like it would amplify Matilda's sexuality. It would make her an object of the viewer. through the movie, through like the music, through what she wore, and through the camera like following her like ass and shit like that.
I actually noticed one
Yeah.
moment where it did that,
This
and
is what
I'm
I'm
like,
saying.
I didn't say anything, but yeah,
This is what I'm saying.
Oh.
Where that part of it is, I don't like. I think that's bad.
right. That
You know?
reminds me, I actually tried to watch a show that I watched when I was younger, Zoe 101,
Oh,
which
good
which
God.
was made by Dan Schneider.
Yeah.
If you know anything about Dan Schneider, he's a fucking creep.
Yeah.
He did like Drake and Josh and iCarly and all those
Mm-hmm.
Nickelodeon shows. I didn't know he did Zoe 101 because I didn't have a laugh track like the others did. But when I saw his name in the credits, I'm like, oh god. And I noticed I only watched the first 2 episodes, and in both of them, it showed some shots, not like close up, but kind of where the camera's focusing on a teenage girl's ass.
Yeah.
And I was like, and I didn't want to go back to it. That's the only thing I caught from the show that made me feel uncomfortable, but that was bad enough.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no.
And that's sort of what I'm talking about. Is
Yeah.
like, if you make a movie where there's like pedophilic themes in it, why are you fetishizing that?
Yeah.
That's the part that I don't like. Other than that, this movie's fine to me. But the fact that the camera acts as our eyes, right? We're watching a movie, and this camera is controlling what we see. To me, it translates into the fetishization of a 12-year-old girl, and I think that's pretty whack. And then learning about his history, you told me just like before we started about the rape allegation.
Yeah.
It makes me more uncomfortable, and so I think I feel vindicated that I felt weird, or I felt like this movie was doing something weird, at points. But yeah, I guess that might sum up my thoughts on the whole controversial side of this.
Yeah.
This movie.
So yeah, I caught a lot of it before. Before I was just thinking, the only stuff that makes it uncomfortable is just from her. But now I see a little bit of that. But now that you're talking about it, I kind of see more about it from the director rather than Leon himself, and that's kind of and I'm like, yeah.
Well, and some of it was like making me, like I was thinking about it too. I was like listening to, because Natalie Portman is fantastic in this movie.
Oh yeah,
and she's always been fantastic.
She's a great actress, and everyone says that she was bad in the Star Wars prequels. I actually thought she was good in those movies.
If anything, it's just the writing.
Yeah, and also Hayden Christensen or whatever, they had terrible chemistry.
Yeah.
It was better in Revenge of the Sith, but in Attack of the Clones, it was terrible.
Yeah.
It was so bad, so cringy, and
Yeah.
I mostly just blame it on him and the writing too.
Right.
But yeah.
But the thing that I found,
Also, I just want to real quick. Phantom Menace kind of had like almost kind of a pedophilia thing because she was like 19 or something, and then the kid was like young. Anakin was like really young.
yeah.
So that kind of I just want to bring
strange.
that up. Yeah, that was,
But the thing is, who wrote this movie? Was it a man?
it was Luc Besson. He wrote it. I looked it up too while we were watching. I'm like, please don't be written by him.
Okay.
It was. It was
Okay.
written by him.
You're right, because sometimes little Matilda would say some things that I think a 12-year-old girl who has lived a hard life and lives in New York also would know and would sound like, but sometimes it sounds like it was written, her parts were written by a man who wanted to hear these things from this girl. And so that, because when you're watching let's say we're watching a romantic movie or something, and the female love interest, because we're straight guys, so the female love interest is beautiful, interesting, seems real. When you listen to what she says, sometimes it'll feel really beautiful in your heart because you'll think, oh, like, man, that'd be so great if I met a woman who we're in love and we talked like that.
That reminds me of the Before trilogy, Julie Delpy. Like, yeah, her character is like.
So, like, when somebody's watching a romantic movie, they get engrossed in that interplay of, like, really, like, relentless love. But, again, the problem is that in this movie, the female love interest, which is as the movie portrays it so, you know, she's the love interest. She's 12 years old. So, this written by the director, her words are written by the director, and sometimes I felt that. Sometimes I really thought, wow, this was written by an old man. And that adds to the sort of strangeness to me. It adds to the strangeness.
Yeah.
But so I think that's my whole that's my whole spiel.
You know, I might even change my rating by the time this is over.
Really? Oh.
I might.
I'm here to bring the truth, man.
The more we talk about this, I think even in Dr. Sleep, I changed my rating at the last minute. But yeah, I'm thinking about changing it. But go ahead.
But yeah, I think that's my whole my critique of the portrayal of basically tween sexuality in this movie is through his writing, the camera, the music. It sets things up as she's the love interest when she should not be. Her character can be in love with Leon for sure, and I think that sounds realistic to me. Like that feels like that would happen in real life. But this movie turns her into the love interest, which is weird. And weird in a way, and weird isn't bad, but weird in this context means, like, what is the viewer to do with that? Because in movies like this, Leon is the protagonist. Leon and Matilda are both the protagonists. And what do we want for the protagonists? For everything to work out, for their lives to be good.
Well, it does depend on who the protagonist is, actually, because there's been movies where the protagonist is a piece of shit, and but we still maybe might like him to some extent, Mm-hmm, it depends on who he is and whatnot, but like Clockwork Orange, sure. But I mostly like that character just because he's a well-written character, and Malcolm McDowell plays him perfectly, and just all that stuff.
In this context, we're sympathetic to Leon because, one, he saves this girl's life.
Yeah.
He has a system of rules, even with his work with murder. He doesn't kill women and children. He avenges this little girl, which so far, those are all great things, to be honest. So it turns you into sympathy,
Yeah.
Leon's likable in a way in this movie,
I just remembered there was a moment in the movie whenever he said he says no women, no kids. But there was a moment in this movie. It was the day, she, her parents her family got killed, and the night when she was staying the night, we should mention also Leon, until later, he actually just slept in a chair and just sitting, sleeping in a chair.
He's a psycho. Can I just drop this real quick?
Yeah, sure.
All he drinks is milk, as I said. All he drinks is milk. The only reason why he has a bed in his house, and there's no sheets on it, is he puts a strap on it, like how you strap down shit in a truck or something.
Yeah. He
puts his feet under the strap and does sit-ups. Hanging off the bed, doing sit-ups all fucking day. Sleeps with his little dark sunglasses on in a chair.
This might be a long episode.
Maybe.
It might go over an hour and 30 because there's still other stuff other than what we were talking about that I still need to talk.
Oh, yeah. But yeah, he's just fucking psycho.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But anyways, so whenever she's like sleeping in his bed at that night, he actually gets a gun and is about to kill her in her sleep.
Yeah, that's weird.
And then he stops at the last, and then he stops. He's like, I can't. But like, I don't know. Maybe it's just, I guess that because he was afraid that he was going to fall in love with her and stuff like that. Maybe
Maybe
like,
I don't know. It might be.
again.
It might be even more. It might be a little more innocent than that. At least how I viewed it was like. That's humanity in front of him, and he doesn't want to care about anything that's real.
Yeah.
But she's a real human being, so he thinks, okay, I don't want to open myself up for life.
Yeah.
But
yeah. Fuck, I'll go and say, I think this is a really good, like, story, like, well-written story. It's just the subject matter that makes it, not
it's even
love
just
it, but it is very well written.
For me, yeah. I think everything's fine. It's just more of like how the subject matter is portrayed.
Yeah.
Like, cause I don't have a problem with, hell, I could even see a movie being made, basically the same way where Leon does fall in love with her in a perverse way, but the movie portrays it as it should be portrayed. It was not portrayed in this movie as it should be portrayed. Like, sure, falling in love with another human being is fine and beautiful and good, but this should have been a purely fatherly or friend way,
Yeah.
So I think if the movie itself made that critique, then there would be no question with me about this movie at all.
Honestly, maybe they should remake it and do it that way.
Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
Because I think, I don't know.
Maybe. But yeah.
But yeah, so I think we got most of the. I feel like we got that out of the way.
Yeah. Yeah, good. The more I think about it, the more, I'm so mixed on this movie because, it has a lot of great stuff.
From a filmmaking standpoint, it's fantastic. I do like it a lot, yeah.
I will say I'm kind of mixed on the editing because now the action stuff with the editing, I don't love all of it. That's a big thing why I don't like action movies is a lot of them have really bad editing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's why Gladiator. That's one of the reasons why Gladiator is one of my least favorite movies because that is some of the worst editing I have ever seen.
Really?
It's so bad. Yeah, and there were some action moments I kind of thought I was like that was a weird cut, but there was some cool moments with Gary Oldman that I really liked. One in particular is whenever Matilda goes into the police station. She goes into the bathroom because she's following him into the bathroom. She walks in there. She doesn't see him, and she thinks maybe he's in the stall because there's one closed. Mm-hmm. And then it pans over, and then it goes to the shot with him behind the door, the bathroom door, and shuts it. And just the way that looked was just so awesome. I loved that. Yeah. I loved that cut so much. I was like, that was so good. And also, at the end, whenever he shoots Leon, I liked how they did that too. There was a shot with you see Leon walking, and if you look closely, you didn't even see it at first. I had to actually rewind it, yeah. But if you look closely, in a corner, you could see him just waiting there, and then it cuts to him, zooming in, coming in. Mm-hmm. There's some good shots too. I like the cinematography, and the shots are really cool, and the editing works in that favor. But the action stuff, I don't know. It's some of it was okay, but some of it was kind of could have been done a little bit better. I did actually like it whenever you said that. I forgot what you said. Something like they had that gun that had like that thing that was attached to it. It was like what was it?
The silencer?
No. It was fuck. I don't remember what it was, but they shot into his room, and that was whenever he screamed. He did and like jumped.
Oh yeah, the rocket. Launcher thing.
Whatever that was, I don't know. But
that's what I was about to mention.
That was done very well.
Well, that shot and then his death shot where the camera is his eyes.
Oh, that was done so good.
That felt like, to me, it felt more like foreign cinema, like Japanese and stuff.
Yeah,
it reminded me of like Tetsuo, the Iron Man.
I haven't seen
It's
that.
one of my favorite movies. It's been.
I want to see that.
So weird.
Yeah.
So great though. But yeah, the shot, the zoom up,
man.
and then like it made me think about like Itchy the Killer and stuff like that, which I think came out after. But regardless, like those shots were very interesting, and I think they added a lot to the movie.
Yeah.
And honestly, I feel like there could have been more kind of oddballs like that.
Yeah.
Those are the only two I can remember. There might be more.
Yeah. That's the part when he gets shot. And like it's in the point of view. The camera's in the point of view of his eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Like and whenever he gets shot, there's like this light that flashes, and it's really cool. And there's even like a sound too that it makes. It's like. And on the music too, the piano music, this like slow, sad piano music's playing while he's like falling down. That was so good. I loved that. And also there was also a light thing too. Whenever he let Matilda in his apartment, there was a light that happened. I think it had that same sound too. That whenever he opened the door and it was just like on her. That was really cool too.
Mm-hmm.
But so yeah, it's just that some of the action stuff. There was some of it I didn't love, but yeah, you want to know something too? Whenever this movie came out, it was marketed mostly as just an action movie.
Which is so bad.
Yeah. I saw some trailers, and I'm like, oh god, it's so bad. There was like a fucking quote too that someone said. It's like, this is this year's Speed or something like that. Actually, this came out the same year as Speed, so I don't know what or no, maybe it wasn't Speed. Maybe it was like Die Hard or something. But I was comparing it to one of those movies, and I haven't seen Speed. Die Hard's good. I do like Die Hard, but. No, I mean, I still stand by it, too, whenever... I think I said this in my original review, that this isn't necessarily an action or a thriller movie. I mean, of course, it has that elements, especially at the third act, but it's mostly a drama, I would say.
It's a dramatic French movie about
a
hitman. That's what you would expect, I think.
Yeah, I mean, sure, it has a lot of violence in it, but really, the second act, I mean, there might be there's some violence in the second act, but a lot of that was a very toned down to compare to like the first and third acts. Like I think the only stuff that I remember was whenever Leon and Matilda was doing their cleaning, and he's like teaching her and stuff and just like the stuff that they were doing to those guys that he had to kill.
I think the movie, because its goal I don't think was escalating violence. Like some movies, like horror movies especially, will be like this kill, this kill, this kill, this kill.
Yeah.
But the movie topped on the violence scale whenever one of the guys shot the mom in the bathtub.
That was Gary Oldman. He had the shotgun. He went. It was crazy.
Repulsive. Like that honestly made me. I was like, oh my god, that's horrifying.
Yeah.
And then it goes. But she shoots her in the bathtub, and then like a few towards the end of that scene, I think after it goes, they're all over the apartment.
Yeah.
It cuts back to the back of the bathtub where the bullets went through, and there's blood coming out. It was really gross, and I think that was like the top for me. That was like, okay, nothing else in the movie seems more violent than that to my brain. Like that's what I remember the most in terms of violence.
Gotcha. Yeah, that was insane. I forgot about the
bathtub.
bathtub.
It was bad. Yeah.
Yeah. What else should we talk about? I mean, the performances are all great.
Yeah, that's pretty.
We said Gary Oldman, of course. My favorite performance of his.
It's pretty solid.
Like, he is just amazing. I like Gary Oldman. I haven't seen a whole lot of movies with him. Like, one movie that he's in that I honestly hate is True Romance, but he's like the only character I actually like in that movie. He plays a pimp who's like trying to be black, but he isn't. He has like dreadlocks. He's hilarious in that movie. He's barely in it. He's only like in a couple scenes, but he's great. So that's how good of an actor he is. Even in a movie that I don't like, he's fantastic.
Well, I need to watch Tiptoes.
What's that?
It's that Matthew McConaughey movie where he comes from a family of little people.
Gary Oldman's in it too?
Yeah, Gary Oldman plays a little person. They CGI'd him into being like 4
oh
foot tall
my
or whatever.
God! What the fuck?
It's a weird ass like romantic comedy from the early 2000s. I need to watch that.
Yeah. Yeah, I knew Gary Oldman. I think first two things I've seen him in was Harry Potter. You know, he plays Sirius Black. I actually have a poster with him on there as Sirius Black. But and also The Dark Knight, as Professor. Which, I mean, he's good, but that's one of the weakest performances I've seen. He's even better in Harry Potter.
I wouldn't say it's weak. I would just say it's like the most not
Gary
Oldman performance, because he doesn't really need to. He doesn't put on like a costume or anything.
Yeah, he just has like a mustache and glasses.
Yeah, he's not Dracula or whatever.
Right. Oh yeah, he did play Dracula. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot about that. But yeah, I mean, everyone says he's like a fan. He's one of the best, and I would
like him.
Say so. And so far, this is, I think, my favorite performance of him, because he goes like pretty much on the same levels as like Dennis Hopper in Blue Velvet as Frank Booth.
Yeah.
I like Frank Booth a little better as like a villain and a character, but still, like it's the performance is like on the same level where it's very over the top. And it's kind of funny at times too. There were some things there were some lines he said that made me laugh in this movie.
Bingo.
That reminded me of you.
Yeah, I really have like Gary Oldman. I have Gary Oldman energy, I think, sometimes.
There was a part where he said, "I don't have time for this Mickey Mouse bullshit." It's so good. And then the part two at the at the third act, whenever he screams, "Everyone!" That's just so good. Yeah, he's fantastic. Natalie Portman, I'm tied between this and Black Swan as her best performance, but it could possibly be this. I don't know, but
it's impressive how old she is doing that stuff.
Yeah, this was her first movie, and she was 12 years old. Like, it's crazy.
How did they teach her all this shit? Like, what? She went to acting school at like 4 years old or something?
I don't know. I don't even know. I have no idea.
I don't know either.
But yeah. Yeah, kind of. Like, I would say even better, but I would say, I forgot to mention, but like, I always kind of thought this was somewhat, at least when it comes to like Natalie Portman, like her performance, it reminds. I think a movie that probably inspired this in some ways was Taxi Driver, and like
100 gabillion %.
But I mean, maybe Travis Bickle is kind of like Leon, but I'm talking more, with like Jodie Foster in that movie.
Well, and even like the atmosphere.
Yeah. Although they don't do anything. They don't do anything like. Well, I mean, the only weird stuff they did with Jodie Foster was with Harvey Keitel, but it was but with Travis with De Niro, like sure she was about to suck his dick in one scene, but he stops her and knows that.
No, what are you doing?
Yeah, he knows. No. He knows how young she is, so he stops her of that, and I don't know. Kind of wish it was more like that in this movie, but
Yeah,
you
it
know.
would make
I forgot to mention that earlier.
it would absolve Leon from questionable morality, not counting how many people he's murdered, because that's obviously questionable. But,
Yeah.
yeah.
Jodie Foster was also 12 in that movie, and that wasn't her first, but
so
still,
crazy.
yeah. But yeah, Natalie, Matilda, and Gene Reno too. You know, we got to mention him. He was great as Leon.
Yeah.
It's just kind of odd to me though that that Leon is Italian though, because I was convinced that he was French too.
Well, he couldn't escape it. Like I said,
Yeah.
his walk French, his whole look French,
Yeah.
wardrobe.
I mean, his
French.
voice did sound a little Italian, but it was still kind of French too.
Yeah.
But
I
yeah.
couldn't tell if they were trying to make it seem like he was slow.
It kind of. I mean, there was a part where he said that I think it said that like he couldn't read or something.
Yeah.
So maybe he was a little. I don't know.
And she was like,
It did kind of seem that way. Yeah.
there was an interplay in one scene where she was like, basically, Matilda basically said she's grown up, but she's not old enough or whatever. In regards to something, I don't remember what they were talking about. But then Leon was like, well, I'm old enough, but I need to grow up. Or something. He said that. And I was like, it was before he left to kill the leather jacket guy with the Chinese dudes.
I don't even
But-
remember.
But yeah, so I don't know if they were trying
Huh.
to. And he just drinks milk all the time, which is weird. Like that's not a normal adult thing to do. So I couldn't tell if they were trying to imply that
Yeah.
Leon was maybe a little bit developmentally challenged or something. I couldn't
Maybe?
tell if they were
I
trying
don't-
to do that,
yeah.
or just that he's Italian, like from Italy, so he
Uh-huh.
doesn't read English and never learned
Right.
because he was busy killing people. Maybe he just doesn't, have that in him. So I couldn't tell, but yeah.
Yeah, I didn't think about that, but yeah. It's interesting.
But yeah, he does a great job. I find him charming, and I'd find him even more charming if he was like more of a stand-up guy. But what are you gonna do? It's not what this movie is trying to do. So
Yeah. I just had to look it up because he's French. I had to look up to see if there's anything about Gene Reno, and there isn't. So he's good.
not all French.
I
I
know.
want to clarify. Not all French people are pedophiles, but sometimes some weird things happen over there.
I didn't even.
I'm
know.
gonna. If any French person watches this, they're gonna be like, "This is a racist ass
Yeah,
American."
I'm
You guys are
sorry.
not. You guys are not all like that. I'm just saying, like, there's like, I don't know what the age of consent laws are over there, and their fucking president,
Oh no.
dude, Macron, their president, he's a fucking scum. Fuck you, Macron. Fuck you, dumb bitch. Fuck you. His wife is like 70 or something, and he's like 40, and he met her in high school when she was his teacher, and they had sex whenever he was in high school.
Damn.
So that happens here in the States too, but usually that gets condemned eventually.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Never been to France. Need to learn more about France, but I'm just saying, it's kind of funny sometimes.
Actually, I was actually thinking about this earlier while we were talking about the whole relationship with Leon and Matilda. But there's actually a movie in the 70s that I want to watch called Harold and Maude. You've heard of that?
Yeah,
And it's
Yeah.
it's a teenage boy and an older, like a 70-year-old woman or something. And I don't know.
Creepy.
It's I just want to see
Oh,
how
yeah.
they do it, or whatever. But that's the way. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's kind of a thing where it's like more of a friendship thing, but I don't know. I don't know, because I know there's something about Mary, Cameron Diaz's character says that movie Harold and Maude was like one of the greatest romance movies of our time. She says, or something.
if I'm right, I think Maud is like evil.
Is she?
Yeah, I think she's like manipulating this young boy.
Yeah,
I think that's the thing about it.
But I was, for some reason, I thought of that movie whenever we were talking about that. It was like, I want to see how that's done. But, you know, with the genders reversed, because, I don't know, it seems like a lot of people don't make, or maybe nowadays, but at least for a while, like, no one was saying anything about, like, if, you know, a underage relationship, but the woman is the older one. Like,
a lot of people would say "good for you" for the young man.
Like in South Park, whenever Ike, who was like a fucking baby, was like fucking his teacher, and all the cops were just like, nice, because she was attractive.
And I think if that movie's anything like this movie, like the one thing that was kind of interesting and kind of like psychological in it was that like she fell in love with basically a good father.
Yeah.
In her eyes. Because, like, Leon saved her, he protected her, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And was even kind of strict with her in some ways. And she never had that. So she fell in love with that. And since this man wasn't her biological father, some lines got crossed.
Yeah.
Where I think that...
I understand where she was coming from.
I think it's probably similar in Harold and Maude, where, like... basically, he fell in love with her, and she plays the role of like mommy. Yeah. Leon plays the role of daddy in this movie.
Don't say daddy, please.
Well, no, I'm saying like that's the vibe that I got off of it, was that like, okay, he's this like kind of stone cold guy with rules and is strict, but he's also protective and loving or whatever.
Yeah.
And she fell in love with him partly because he would be a good father. And I'm sure in Harold and Maude it's like this old woman basically controls the young man and it's basically acts as this man's like domineering mother probably.
Gotcha.
So yeah.
Yeah, I need to check that movie out, actually. That sounds interesting.
I might be completely wrong about that movie. I don't know. I've never seen it, but just guessing. Anytime you see a young man with an older woman, that's the vibe I get. It's like, dude's hanging out with mommy. She's taking care of him. Yeah. That's so creepy.
Yeah.
So creepy. But, yeah.
Is there anything else?
Man.
We're not 30 yet, but...
I tried to think, man. I mean,
the music was... Well, you said some of it was kind of came off creepy, but like musically, it's all good.
Music's fine. It's more like that's what I mean. Like, it's when it comes to the voyeurism of watching a movie. And as a director, what you're showing your audience is important because the audience sees themselves as either the main character or as the camera. Yeah. So that's what I meant by like the music playing romantic strings whenever Matilda's flirting with Leon. That's what I meant by it coming off right. Is like it shouldn't do that. It should play more like innocent little kid music because that's what she's being. She's being like a little kid.
Like Venus is a Boy, the Bjork song that was playing. I think that was more like kind of innocent. Mm-hmm. Was it? I
think so. I mean, it could from her point of view. Yeah, that's probably what the situation felt like.
I love Bjork, by the way, and I love that song.
That's a fantastic song.
That's my favorite Bjork song, I think.
It might be mine. I love that album.
I don't know. I like that, and I like Hyper Ballad also. I don't know.
I've got to get into the later records because I've been
I've only heard the first 3.
You know this about me. I've been stuck on Debut for like 5 years.
Oh really?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I've not I've tried listening to some of our other songs, and then I'm just like I just need to listen to like Aeroplane right now.
I think I've heard Post more than anything, but I think I've only heard the first.
Shout out to Bjork. I know you're listening. We love you.
Yeah,
you're the best. Teach me how to be creative.
Shit, there's a movie with her that I kind of would want to do on this channel. I don't know if it should be the next one, but the Northman.
Oh yeah,
We should do that
She's in
one
that?
sometime. Yeah, dude.
oh
She was the big reason why I wanted to watch that
Oh.
movie.
oh,
But she's barely in it. But yeah, like that was like her first time, I think, since Lars
Since
von
Asshole?
Trier movie.
dude, fuck Lars.
I'm interested in his films, honestly. I will say I want to watch his movies and I will rank his work because I'm actually interested.
Lars is
But
real fascist vibes I've heard.
Dancer in the Dark, that's the name of it. But that was her first time acting since that movie.
Yeah,
And yeah. And she hated working with him.
dude, who wouldn't? Fuck you, Lars.
Oh, apparently,
fuck you.
what's her
Fuck
name?
you.
Wait, who's
Fuck
that actress
you.
that worked with her a lot? Is it? No, it's not Kirsten Dunst. I
It's
think she only did once.
oh, you're thinking about
Bryce Dallas Howard? No, I can't remember.
Amy Schumer.
What? No.
I tried to think of the most like.
I know Uma
talented.
Thurman worked with him a lot.
Mm.
I think Nicole Kidman did a little, but I don't know.
Scientology.
Oh yeah, Nicole Kidman's also in the Northman too. I forgot to mention that, but I don't know. We might do that one, or we might do
Interesting.
Sideways, whichever one. I'm kind of wanting to watch Sideways next, but
Alright.
we'll see.
Alright.
But anyways, anything else about Leon before we wrap it up?
Man,
And give her ratings. I'm still thinking on mine, but
solid filmmaking. Not what I expected. Is it something that I'll watch ever again? Probably not. Though there is some aspects of this movie that I do think are really great.
I could maybe at least one more time, but I'm almost kind of not wanting to again.
Like I like the over the like I love the IRA SWAT team. Because I need to look up real SWAT teams because I don't think that's how they look. Like, these guys literally look like Irish Republican Army guys.
That's hilarious.
And I love anything IRA, so that part of it was really fun for me. So I think if I was to take any inspiration from this movie, it would be like if I was making a movie or making a piece of art or something, is to take aspects of reality as we know it and kind of make it hyperbolic, like make it a little too absurd, and then kind of make it ridiculous, but not in a way that like makes the whole piece of art ridiculous. So
yeah,
good movie, weird, good movie overall, but weird. Weird things all up in it.
Yeah.
That I think if I was doing a movie and the script was written and I was paid to do it, I would not do it like that. I'll just say it like that.
Right. So, all right. So, what do you rate it?
Man, 6.5, 7.
Huh?
I think 6.5 or 7. 7, 6.5. Do I like it better than Taxi Driver?
Taxi Driver, you gave a 7.
Okay, this will get a 6.5.
All right.
This will get a 6.5. Yeah, I like Taxi Driver better.
All right. Cool. All right. So, yeah. Kind of like I said in Doctor Sleep. It's just or I think it was Doctor Sleep, because actually it was the references to The Shining that was making me not.
Oh,
like
I
that
forgot
movie.
about all that
And
references.
all that much.
That pissed me off.
Yeah. But
It's like, ugh, sucks.
But like, the more I think about this movie, just because before I was defending this and just saying no, it's just a father-daughter thing. But the more we talked about it, it could have been more than that.
It definitely like
And-
if they were to survive, like that last thing, who knows what would have went down with them, and that would have been wrong or creepy.
Yeah.
It would be like, okay, imagine if this was a real thing that happened and you're just reading about it in the newspaper where, okay, this famous hitman in New York City befriended a 12-year-old girl and started training her in the ways of hitman, and they fell in love with each other. You know what I mean?
First of all, why would that be the newspaper? Like, god damn.
Well, yeah, that's in the news. Oh, dude, that's all the news is like crazy shit like that.
Oh.
But people would say that that guy is evil, or like, you know, because kind of is. But in this movie, since he's betrayed,
showing him not as evil.
Yeah, since this movie portrays him as like kind of a good guy in a lot of ways. It makes the subject matter that much weirder and that much more like...
Yeah.
I don't trust what the director is trying to say with this movie. And people can say, oh, well, you make up your own meanings, and how you have your own opinions about a movie or a piece of art or whatever. And that's true, but I believe that the intentions of the artist is very important. Now, the only times that it's not important are whenever the piece of art is like 5,000 years old, and it's not very controversial. Mm. So I think if I knew what the director was thinking, that would also change the way that I would look at this movie. Because if I knew, if it was a complete just fetishization of Natalie Portman, which I don't know if it is or not, sometimes it feels like it is, then this movie is like a 0 out of 10. Purely because like the intentions were gross. But if his intentions were something different than that, then it'll stay at the 6, I guess. But I don't know. Yeah. Weird. What a weird. Maybe it just made this movie so people talk the fuck about it.
Yeah, probably.
You know, because it's like it's got me grappling with like moral questions.
Yeah, I wonder what people thought about back then in '94.
Cool movie. It's like The Matrix or whatever.
Yeah, like I said, it was marketed as just like an action movie and like mostly and just shit like that. But yeah, which the action's great, but you know, but it's the drama that's the main focus. So the relationship and all that. But yeah, okay. So for right now, I'm giving this an 8. It was a 9 originally.
9
I rated this last night as a 9. Before that, it was actually a 10. Believe it or not, it was a 10. Oops, sorry, but then I watched it last night. I'm like, nah, I don't like it that much.
Yeah,
it's like, nah, it's a 9, but it's now an 8, and all of my top 100 movies are either a 9 or a 10. So
this is kicked out.
So I think, yeah,
you're fucking kicked out.
Like, here's the thing, one thing I want to do for each year is update that top 100 list. Mm-hmm. So there's a good chance that this won't be on there anymore.
Bye-bye.
Probably not.
Trump says bye-bye.
Because now, talking about all that stuff, I'm going to at least give it an 8. I really like the movie a lot, and it would be at least a 9 if it wasn't for that stuff.
Well, it makes the movie creepier to me. Like an otherwise not creepy movie, it makes it strange.
Yeah. Like a thing about Election, like the pedophilia stuff wasn't the main focus in that movie, so that's, you know, so that's okay, but
this is like, the main part of the story, really.
Unfortunately.
Is a grown man learning to let himself love a child. That was the whole movie. Whoa!
And his excuse was not because she's young, but because of, you know, because he lost someone a long time ago, which is sad, but still, you know.
That's so very French.
That's the last time you're going to say that, right? In this video.
I hope so.
So, all right. So, did you say 6 or 6.5?
I'm gonna bump it down to a 6.
Okay.
After I talked about the last time when I was talking about the director's intentions, but shit, maybe a 5. I don't know.
I mean, you liked a lot of the movie.
I like the filmmaking. I like the filmmaking. The wardrobes are fantastic.
Yeah.
I told Jimmy during the movie, I was like, man, where can I find all the clothes Natalie Portman wore in this movie? Because I would wear like most of it if it fit me.
Yeah.
And also, Leon's clothes are so fly.
Right.
Like, I was like, oh my!
Suspenders.
Every time I'd see him walk with his trench coat, his furry trench coat, and his glasses and his hat, I'd be like, man, my man's dressed up.
Yeah. One more thing I want to say is that the cover of this DVD kind of sucks. I don't like it. It would be better if it was that, which I've seen that on a lot of them.
That makes me look like
I don't know. This doesn't look very intimidating. Leon doesn't look very intimidating, especially with that face. Like, I don't know.
The back of it makes me think about, what's that movie?
XXX?
No, it makes me think about that Kevin Spacey movie.
X-Pac or PAX,
X-Pax
or something like that.
Where he's like, I'm not mentally ill, I'm an alien. And it turns out, he's just an alien and he...
Okay, I want to see that movie now. That sounds amazing.
But
did you just spoil it?
Yeah, it's cheesy. No, it's cheesy. It's basically Good Will Hunting, but the guy says, no, I'm actually an alien. And then the main character starts to believe him, and then like conflict happens, and then he disappears, and because he's an alien. It's dumb.
I think you told me about that because I told you about how I would do the movie Elf. Was like have it in the point of view of James Caan, and like make him think that his son is crazy, and then by the end he finds out that he actually was for the North Pole.
Yeah, that basically is. Yeah.
Like, I remember I told you about that, and you were like, yeah, that reminds me of this movie where this guy... I don't remember you saying Kevin Spacey, but...
It's Kevin, yeah.
That's funny. And...
God, I should just reference that movie, like, every day, because that's the most obscure, like, whack movie reference.
Alright.
But yeah.
Anyways, we're almost at 30 minutes, so...
Oh, my God.
5 or 6?
5. I'm neutral. Okay. I think the filmmaking's great. I think some of the shot choices great, wardrobe great, but overall message and attitudes about things condemnable.
All right.
Yeah, condemnable.
All right. So 5 and then 8. I'm still staying by 8.
And now. That's an inch taller than me.
5'8"?
Yeah.
You're 5'7"?
Yes, I'm 5'7".
I thought you were taller than that, to be honest.
Dude, I am right in the range of Prince, James Brown, and D'Angelo. Prince is on the shorter side than those guys.
Right.
But me and D'Angelo, I think, are the same height, which is bonkers. Shout out D'Angelo. I love you, dude. I'm glad I hope you're doing good, man. D'Angelo's gonna be in the comments. D'Angelo's gonna be in the comments. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. That's great. That'd be great. My life would be complete at that point.
That's funny.
Yeah.
All right. So 5'8". There we go. That's Leon the Professional, and I'm thinking next time let's do Sideways.
Okay.
That's a way different movie. It's more of a comedy. There's some drama in it too.
More of a ha-ha.
But same Alexander Payne again, director of Election. But don't worry, there's no pedophilia in it. So
good.
In fact, there's not any underage kids in this movie anyway. So
okay, cool.
Actually, there's one, but there's not.
There's one child.
There's actually is a child in it, but there's nothing like that. Yeah.
Nah.
There is a character I think you might not like, but
I don't like a lot of things.
There's a character you probably won't like, but yeah. I would say Northman, but I want to at least wait for that because the last movie we did have Alexander Skarsgård, and I don't want to do it real close to that. So so maybe Northman after that, but
fair enough.
Yeah, Sideways. Check that. We'll do that next episode. That'll be episode 19. So yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
We're almost at 20.
We're almost at my age.
22.
Yeah, so it'll be a while.
Right.
Been a long time.
Yeah. Alright, so so if you made it this far, thank you very much for watching. So yeah, please like, subscribe, comments, hit the bell,
smash
share,
all the buttons you've ever heard of.
Yeah. And
as Markiplier tells you.
Yeah. And also, by the way, I just want to mention real quick, if you're noticing why this video is on a Wednesday instead of a Saturday, it's because I am currently about to release a David Fincher ranking, which that will be out next Wednesday. I didn't really have any other, I thought I could maybe try to make it to, today, as you're watching this, but as of right now, I still need to rewatch some of his movies, so that'll be next Wednesday. That's why this came out on a Wednesday and not a Saturday, so that's just my excuse to put out a video that day, because I didn't have anything else planned yet. so yeah, but yeah, look out next Wednesday for the David Fincher ranking.
Look out.
Yeah. And look out sometime soon for our episode of Sideways, for episode 19. Yeah, alright, so we'll see you guys later. Alright.
Adios.
Peace.
No women and children.
No women, no kids.
No women, no kids.